So the Disinformation Governance Board that the media has still not reported on, CBS Evening News, ABC News, NBC News, still have not told the people who are watching those broadcasts anything about the Disinformation Governance Board. This is to spread or to tackle the spread of misinformation in the U.S., and they have now come out and said they are specifically going to focus on Russia, Ukraine, and the U.S.-Mexican border. Really? So the Ministry of Truth needs to control the narrative and tell us what we can or cannot talk about on two stories: Russia, Ukraine, and our own border. Well, let me do both right now. When it comes to almost anything the government does, it is best to always look at it through the eyes of corruption, greed, and death. And I know that sounds morbid, but we are no longer living in the country we all grew up in. When it comes to big government, that's true north. Where's the money going? Where is it being diverted from? Who's suffering because of this? Those are the questions that you have to ask yourself. So let's just stick here for a second with Russia, Ukraine, and the border, and let's see where the money is going, where the money is coming from. Who is going to suffer because of it? Last night I had a graphic on that showed the military aid from February to March to Ukraine in the billions of dollars. Yep, it's up. If you're watching The Blaze right now, you can see it. The United States is way out of balance. No other country in the world even comes close to what we have already committed. So we first stepped up and we committed, I don't know how many billions. Then Congress approved $1.5 trillion budget, and that approved another $14 billion in war aid for Ukraine. So by the end of March, we were all in $18 billion. Okay. 2 weeks ago, Biden stepped up and said, we need another $33 billion. But the Democrats in Congress, who apparently now like war, the Democrats in Congress said, no, we need to give it $40 million. The president, out of control president, 33. Congress was like, no, it's got to be $40 billion. So $40 billion. Now that takes, if they pass it in the Senate today, that takes the entire budget up to $58 billion that we have sent over to Ukraine if they pass this today. $58 billion. I know these numbers don't make any sense to a lot of people because it's just numbers now, but let me put it into perspective. The entire defense budget for Ukraine, their entire budget for a whole year is $6 billion. This is almost 10 times the amount of their entire defense budget. So the Russian Defense Department has a yearly budget of $63 billion. We're sending $58 billion. The Russian yearly defense budget is $63 billion. $5 billion more than we will have sent in just a couple of months. And it's not going to end there. And by the way, where's the money coming from? Who's suffering? Well, first of all, where's the money going? The details in the Senate bill, a little murky, but they got to get this passed right away. The funds we do know are going to go through the State Department, and they include things like food insecurity. I don't want anything going through the State Department. So in total, we're looking at $58 billion of your money going to a country that we can't even find on a map. And, the Lindsey Grahams and the Mitch McConnells and the Chuck Schumers are all saying, and Joe Biden, there's no exit ramp. There's no exit ramp for Putin. So in other words, this only ends with him leaving. That's it. What the hell are those people? Did any of us vote for this? Any of us? So $58 billion because we have to help the people and the soldiers of Ukraine. Okay. keep the $58 billion in mind because this is really going to piss you off. DHS Secretary Mayorkas addressed Congress last week and all but admitted that they don't have adequate funding to address the border crisis. Now, we're sending $58 billion over. That, by the way, would double the budget for the border, double the budget, again, on the border. So we don't have the money. We don't have adequate funding to address the border crisis. Gee, I wonder where the money's going. So they have to cut costs. I am not making this. Your head will explode. They are going to divert costs. The Biden administration is taking money from the VA. Now, already our veterans get seconds. We are diverting VA funding and doctors and nurses away from our vets to the migrants at the border so we can take money that we don't have, $58 billion, and send it to Ukraine. The hell? What is wrong with us? Now, some Republican lawmakers are attempting to fight this. Most people haven't even heard of this. And this is how the atrocities at the border go unchecked. Biden sweeps it all under a rug. The mainstream media covers it up. And meanwhile, people suffer and die. And in this case, it's not only the people on the border, but it is also our veterans in VA hospitals that will suffer because we have to help the Ukrainian soldiers. Things are getting really bad. And last night on my TV show, please, if you haven't subscribed to Blaze TV, please do it right now. Please. The things that my team, I have the greatest team ever. I do. From, well, I was going to say Stu, all the way across. I have Stu and
the greatest team ever.
No, I have Stu and Ricky, who are my executive producers on both radio and TV. And I could not ask for better executive producers. And everyone down the line, my researchers, all the way down to interns, fantastic. What pays their salary is this show, but also the Blaze. And every time you subscribe, you help the Blaze. You help pay for specials and research that sometimes takes months and months to do before it gets on the air. So please subscribe to the Blaze TV, blazetv.com/Glenn. You'll save if you use the promo code Glenn. This is what I showed last night. Stu, I want to hand you a penny, and be careful because there's something on it. It's only flour. But can you describe how big that flour dot is?
Okay, I'm looking at the penny. We got good old Abe Lincoln's face on there. I would say that the dot goes from Lincoln's chin to his eyes.
Okay. On a penny.
On a penny.
Okay. And that's about twice the amount that should be on this for this case. That is the amount of fentanyl that will kill an average size human.
Really? That's insane.
Okay.
It's basically none.
If you, it's like you, I mean, that's crazy. You have more flour on the top of, one of those rolls that you get that has a little flour that you could kind of scoop off. It's less, much less than that.
If this was salt, I'd be able to count how many grains.
Oh yeah,
really easily.
Okay, so what I'm going to show and what I want to describe to you, I have two packages here, and they are 1 kilo each. And you have seen when drugs come into the country, you have seen packages much bigger than this, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure.
Yeah. Okay. So how would you describe this? It's a kilo. It's about what, 6 inches by 7?
It's like if you went to a bake sale and there's a loaf of banana bread.
Yeah, a little smaller than banana.
Wider
bread.
though.
Yeah. Okay. So that kilo will kill 500,000 people.
Oh my God.
2 of them will kill 1 million people. If you have 5 kilos, which I have now on the desk, and it's not really a problem to stack it up. If I have 5 kilos of fentanyl, I can now kill 5 million people. Let me put that into perspective.
You mean 10. 10 kilos would be 5 million.
No, 5.
You said one was 500,000, so 10 would be 5 million.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I have here. 10.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
This what's on the desk here is 10 packages. That would kill 5 million people. Let me put that into perspective. The Germans, I would need 2 more kilos, and I could kill as many as the Germans killed of Jews. So this stuff is so dangerous that Barack Obama's Department of Homeland Security put fentanyl on the weapons of mass destruction list. Fentanyl, if your doctor ever gave you fentanyl, my wife picked up a fentanyl patch when I had just gotten out of the hospital. It's like 10 years ago. And she was reading the box and she's like, oh my gosh, I just picked that up and threw it away. And it says, don't touch the patch without gloves, because just touching the pad, you can get too much fentanyl and die. Okay? It's insane. Weapons of mass destruction. I could kill every single person in Los Angeles by dumping this into the water supply. If they give you fentanyl, they tell you, if you don't use all of them, do not ever dump them in the toilet. Why? Because what is that? Maybe, 10 tablets could threaten the water supply. Imagine, Stu, how many times? There was a box of fentanyl in a car in the back seat that had come from drug smuggling on our open border. It was found in Georgia. It was enough to kill every single person in Georgia. We now know that there are terrorists coming over. We now know that Iran has U.S. dollars because we gave them $1 billion. We just flew it over on a pallet. Do you think maybe somebody has looked at our open border, the crazy amounts of fentanyl, and looked at this and thought, I could kill every man, woman, and child in Chicago. All I have to do is put it into the water supply. Tell me we have no problems on the border. Tell me this is about helping people, helping children. Children are being sold into black markets. Last night, we showed you pictures of kids that had been given sleepy medicine so they could go across the border time and again, over and over, so they'll be quiet. There is so much fentanyl in this country that this year, the number one killer, the number one thing that is killing 18 to 49-year-olds is fentanyl. Not COVID. Think of this. The number that we have is, I think, 106,000 here in the last year. And it's only getting worse. 106,000. Wow. And these aren't our old people that we had to stop school and everything else. These are kids at 18, and they're dying at record rates, and you don't hear a peep about it. Instead, we're debating today whether to send almost the entire yearly defense budget of Russia over to the Ukraine. I don't know about you, but I've had enough. I have had enough.